Okay. Hello, I'm Dale Matthews, and I have a real treat for you today on Inside News. It's Mike Jones. Hello, Mike.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks for having me on your program. I've never been here before. Wow, this studio is big.
That's right. You're still out in the middle of the river, it looks like.
Yes, I am.
Find
It's
any
just
arsenic out there?
that's how big. That's how big the studio is. Yeah, my feet are being dissolved away by caustic chemicals right now.
Right. There's a little bit of a delay between us, and it has to do mostly with the internet and some intellectual capability. But
Yes,
Mike will be joining us this
but
evening,
I'm
and
not holding that against you, Dale.
a good one, Mike. That's a good response. We'll be mostly talking about how Simon Hare explains everything to us about the workings of county government. Just before we get there, Mike has a bit of an update about this Friday, which is going to be live. What's happening this Friday that's going to be live, Mike?
Yes, we're going to be broadcasting from the Cave Junction building. It's going to be a candidates forum. We've invited all the commissioner candidates. So far, 10 have confirmed. Pardon me. Each of them are going to get 5 minutes to give their elevator speech, brief question and answer period right after they speak. And then when everybody's done, time providing here, there'll be time for open question and answer period. And I think it's going to be fun.
That program that you put together from the GOP Invitational turned out to be very popular. Many people wanted to see that. This is going to be just the same. Is that better?
I hope so.
Right.
Yes, better. That's right.
Things are getting increasingly strange as we approach a time where there's going to be almost certainly two reformers of some kind, don't know who they are yet. More and more, there are people that are trying to come up with counter arguments to the Great Reformation that may be coming, maybe, and it's going to take a long time. The disappointing part is most of their arguments are centering on things like, well, you stink. And that's, I don't like being judged by that argument, but one of them that came up recently was one of the people involved in politics recently had said something to Cheryl Walker in an email, and I got copied on this as well, something about water testing. And somehow, all I was just copied on the thing. They just sent me a copy of the email. Cheryl Walker brings up, well, that Dale Matthews guy, no one has said, Dale Matthews, how am I involved in that? No one has said that they have records of his, of a conviction in porn. What?
Mm.
What? So also, nobody has any evidence that I've been convicted for shooting down airplanes with a laser beam from my apartment also. So just so that you're clear, there's no, they don't have the evidence yet. That why is Cheryl Walker talking about that there's nobody introduced any evidence about me being a pornographer? This all the way back to, you remember, tell them, Mike.
Yeah, well, this is, Judy Aarons came in and stated that she feared that perhaps the library computers were not safe, and that children being in there could surf porn sites with no check on them. And so Dale went and check that out right after. Well, actually, during the time when Judy was in there saying that, right after she got done telling Cheryl Walker this, or the entire board, but Cheryl Walker responded, "Oh, people, rest assured, there is no porn on the library internet." So naturally, Dale, it's a short walk from the Ann Basker over to the library. It takes maybe a minute or two, and he went over there and discovered, yeah, this is a problem. And then the next week, or maybe it was 2 weeks later, I forget, but they had the entire library board and then friends of all the people in the library board. And then Cheryl Walker sort of led the charge against, well, there is no porn on the library internet. And by the way, Dale Matthews is I mean, she didn't say this, but everybody else was saying it, and they were laughing and they were clapping, and there was no rebuke from the board during this whole time that, hey, you're not supposed to do that. And wait just a minute, we don't know anything about, Dale Matthews being like that or anything. How dare you, say that? Don't be accusatory of anybody. That's not really right. No, none of that. But if anybody else says something about the board or friends of board, then there's an issue there or something. So
this is one of the reasons that Diane Mackin got into some kind of trouble on one of the Facebook sites, is that she came out and said, well, what about Dale Matthews and all this porn? And this is when, and I didn't even know that. I didn't see it till afterwards, where the admin for that site said, hey, you can't say that. I was there and that's not true at all. It was Diane Mack. Mm-hmm. Well, you're stomping on my First Amendment. Yeah, well, don't be saying something that's entirely untrue. Well, it's true. It's no, it isn't. So there's your Diane Mackin for you as well. So she's apparently going to be there Friday, and I'm going to ask tight questions of Dale Matthews. Okay, go ahead, you'll get one question, and I'm not going to be chicken stuff and say, well, she says, will you take a question? I say yes, and that was your question. No, I'm not going to be like that. But everybody will see. You're going to have to, no matter who it is, if you're going to represent everybody, not me, but anybody is going to represent the rest of the population, you should treat them with some kind of respect. Even if you feel like banging your head on the wall, just treat them with respect, answer their question, and go on to the next one. Yeah, we'll see. But I think that there's a potential for Friday to not only be educational, but be somewhat fiery. We're going to find out.
Yeah, you know what? Listen, there's 10 candidates confirmed so far, and let me see here. Here are the confirmed candidates so far: Bill Ertl, Dale Matthews, Ronald A. Smith, Harriet Harris, Mark Seligman, Raymond Smith, Nathaniel Duarte, Sandy Casanelli, Bill Hunker, and Joseph Rice. That's just as of right now. And I just put out another email blast here a few minutes ago, so I expect that a few more will be jumping on. And even with 10 candidates, that's a solid show right there. That's 50 minutes of candidates giving their spiel. And then when you add to the question and answer period, I mean, this is going to be a great night. I'm not worried about it at all. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Well, I'm thinking it's going to get at least as many views as before. And these are things that people really should know. They should know about what the candidates say. Minus one. Yeah. So anyway, so what we decided to do tonight is this is a little bit difficult. It's a little bit difficult because, as you know, many times we've seen this from Cheryl lots of times, and it also happens with Simon. He'll speak and it seems like one long paragraph. I mean, it seems like there's no punctuation. He'll go from subject to subject to subject to subject and covers all kinds of stuff. This takes 11 and a half minutes, and he touches on 134 subjects, it seems like. And so what we're going to do is we're going to play back what he said during his protected time at the last weekly business session. A lot of people got up. There were a few people that are totally in favor of the governor coming down in here, taking over. They're completely, in the can with, allied with that wonderful commissioner, Cheryl Walker. And then there were a few people who are not, and they all had their say, and we let them play this. I thought this was especially interesting, listening to Simon Hare explaining things. He said a number of things. I talked to Mike about it. He says, yeah. Well. I said, oh, remember? He said, oh, yeah. How about, yeah. So we're going to play it back, and we're going to comment. It used to be in Josephine County that during protected time, especially since Simon Hare has been in for 5 years now, this protected time has given the commissioners just the ability to say anything they want to, and nobody can say anything. They cannot respond until now. And now we get the final word. Or maybe Mike will tonight because he hasn't been here for a couple of days. So if you remind me, everybody, just call in or send me an email. Remind me, send me a letter. Give Mike the final word tonight. Yes. And I will judge that and weigh the alternatives and look at how many people turn up on either side, and then maybe Mike will get the final word. We'll see. Are you ready,
wait,
Mike?
turnips? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, here we go.
Am I? Yes, I'm ready.
All right, Simon Hare.
I appreciate the contrast and decorum from last week's meeting to this. This is exactly the kind of meeting that I want to come to.
You know what? I'm going to do it right now. Simon, I don't care what kind of meeting you want to come to. You're a public servant. We're paying you to be here. The reason that it was controversial last time was that Cheryl Walker was egging the crowd on, and they were eager to reply, and she just wouldn't leave things alone. She wanted to sandwich the comments between her explanations of why she's right and everybody else is wrong.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just
that was right. No, it wasn't. And listen, I will say there was a few people, and listen, this was a minority of people that were, in back. Typically, Dale will sit up in the front row, and I'm typically, in the row behind him with a couple of friends of mine or something. It seemed like all the way in the back row, you had some peanut gallery comments coming out, or, loud coughing or whatever. I don't advocate that sort of thing. Listen, if you have an objection to what's going on with the board, wait till your time and then get up there and make your comment and, make a point. But Cheryl's not completely innocent in this, and the board half the time when they're laying it on about the the people in the audience, it's because they're being a jerk somehow. That eggs that on. So it's and of course that's all very subjective. So judge for yourself.
It's not so subjective, because remember when the Courier said that they wrote that. Keith Heck wanted to make things more civil at these meetings, right? That he's concerned about the meetings, and he's trying to bring more civility back to it. And what I did was I posted that comment from the Courier, and I included the video, and I'm going to read the title of it. Here's a quote from him. "It's just a sad way to have to deal with things to pump up your own miserable little lives." This is proof positive that Keith Heck is trying to make this a more civil atmosphere. What a bunch of bull. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Listen, even if he had, some criticism of what was going on in the room there's a way of doing it without going there. And you're a commissioner. You're supposed to be a better example.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Keith seems to always seize on the opportunity to be snide. And
why did the Courier print this like it was a fact? It's so strange. They're so in the bag for these.
Right. That's it. You know what? If they were reporting the news honestly, they would say, strangely, Keith Heck says he wants a more civil thing because, listen, it's no secret that Keith is not very nice to the general public when they disagree with him. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a contentious argument. They could just have be up there. They voice their opinion. He disagrees with it, but he's, spend some time trying to tear people down.
Like the mayor. The mayor does that too. And Mike and I have talked about whether or not Keith Heck will come to this candidates forum. I hope that he does, but He was not served very well by the way he responded to people at this last one when they had some questions for him, and he got all angry with them. I mean, this is who the guy is, and that's this, why would you say that? And that's, people keep saying that. That's totally right. It's like, whoa.
Well, yeah, but and that's kind of par for the course. Listen,
transparency.
I think, listen, and understand this. Nobody is going to be sandbagging anybody at this event. Okay. I'm not going to do it. My complete intention in this situation is to provide completely unbiased coverage of what takes place. And because I want who the candidate is to come through and for you to see it and to be educated in your vote coming up here. There's no, and listen, I'm not going to allow anybody to sandbag a candidate at this event either. You know what? It's totally fine during the time prescribed for it for people to get up, ask a question. We're going to have two mics there. We're going to have a mic for the candidate. We're going to have a mic for people asking questions. And so I'm hoping that people just won't shout it from the peanut gallery, because the people online are not going to hear that. So you come up, ask your question, not statement. People want to have a little soliloquy or whatever. We're not doing that. This is about getting, hearing from the candidate and hearing the candidate's reaction to a cogent question, and bring those in spades. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can judge then, in my opinion, which is what I was talking about, what kind of commissioner that person is or will be by the way that they handle those questions. And if they come unglued and start, kind of ranting, that's what they'd be like. And if they don't answer the question, that's what they'd be like. And if they do answer the question straight out, okay, there you go. Anyway, here's more of Simon Hare explaining everything to you.
I don't want to dread coming to these weekly business sessions like I was prior to this meeting. This actually was good discourse, people bringing their own points of view, and that's really what you do. You can say you speak for a bunch of people, but all I do is I listen to the individuals who speak and take it. It's just coming forward.
Did you catch that? Lots of people can come up, but I don't count them as being a part of the general community. I just take them one at a time. Now, they've said this kind of thing many times. Why, you don't represent everybody. I won by 62 votes, says Cheryl Walker. And no, she never says that. But, and so I know, no, that's not going to do it. Mike? Mike, the reason I don't
have a big thing for you on that.
The phone go away. Okay.
Yes, anyway, I know, but I got nothing for you. So play the
I'm tossing it back to Mike. Okay, here we go.
I will say that in regards to House Bill 3453 or Oregon Law Chapter 753, we will be diligent in our effort moving forward. We're not going to make any rash decisions. I'm not interested in jumping to conclusions based on anecdotal information. Going to tomorrow and tonight the same parties are present, so there will be a recommendation that we see the local public safety coordinating council or LIPSIC to kind of review the statistical data that I think that Commissioner Walker and Heck are already trying to compile.
Okay, so what was that? They're going to meet with the local public safety coordinating committee. Sorry, I know I'm stopping and starting. That meeting is going to happen on Wednesday afternoon. Local Public Safety Coordinating Committee, LIPSIC, is made up of law enforcement people. Keith Heck is on the board. 911 guys are on the board, I believe. Everybody that is convinced that we're in a fiscal emergency and that we need to immediately get the governor down here and take over everything will be there on the LIPSIC board. And so they're going to come to a conclusion based on brand new statistics.
Yeah, brand new statistics. Wow. What's that going to come from? Listen, unfortunately, they are manufacturing some sort of new matrix for compiling statistics that's going to show. crime is out of control. Yeah, that's what is going to happen. I mean, it's completely political. It has nothing to do with the truth whatsoever. And are they going to have people there that are going to give them the actual real statistics? Oh, hell no. No, they're not.
It's spreading the blame also, because it's pretty clear to these characters that they do not want to take the blame for calling the governor down here and abdicating their role as defined in the charter. So they're going to go here, gather up all of the allies they can. It might as well be an SOS meeting, really. And then they're going to come out with, guess what? Oh, this will be a big surprise. Statistics to show that everything is a disaster.
Yeah. You know what?
Lipstick.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we'll tell you. I'll be there. I'll be videotaping. You'll get to hear the highlights. That'll be fun. Maybe the whole thing. Here we go. Take it away, Simon.
Liaisons, but I want that definitive information, and it isn't always 100%.
Definitive.
I took statistics in college, and was it figures never lie, but liars or constantly figures. The one element that sticks in my mind, you have a lot of elections, and in any current election, there's 30,000 people that participate out of the 83,000 that are members of our community. So that's not representative of everybody.
Oh, really? Is that the way America works? Really? 86,000 people involves every child. Every child.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay? If 15 people vote, they're the ones who've chosen to be part of the citizen oversight board that is the voting public, and that's who gets their way. You know, now you can spin it however you want to. They love saying the 48%, 47%. They love saying that now, as though somehow that's supposed to. Oh, well, wow, well that's almost half. Well, we should have let them have their way then.
They lost the vote.
Yeah, they lost. And so the people that vote are the people that care enough to make sure that their voice is being heard. Because listen, it is my civic obligation to vote, as it is yours. Some people don't take it very seriously. I'm sorry for you. You know,
it's the American way. Look, go ahead.
I'm not going to give you something because you wanted it but didn't care enough to vote for it. Really?
Yeah, I asked the local expert about this, Raymond Smith. Raymond Smith shoes horses, so he knows a lot about the game of horseshoes. And it's true that if you get close with your horseshoe, you get a couple of points, but you don't win. That wasn't a very good joke. It's the best I could do at the top of my head. Look, what they've decided is they're not winning any of these votes, so votes don't matter. People are not showing up at the Ann Basker, so the people who show up at the Ann Basker don't matter. Less people than they would like are voting, so that doesn't matter. They don't have the statistics, so that doesn't matter. They should not.
And hang on a second here. This is very interesting that Simon is, you know, I took statistics, so, you know, I know that statistics or whatever. Oh, really? Does that apply to the OSP statistics? Because statistics and the statistics being all you know, akimbo, usually has to do with somebody's political spin on statistics. So is that what you're saying about the OSP statistics there, Simon? You know, I mean, is that what we're to believe?
Wait, well, we put together some new statistics that will prove
that say
what we want is the truth.
Right, and then his critique of statistics will be completely valid.
What's happening is one, I don't think I'm exaggerating. If you think I'm exaggerating, when I go back to Mike, he'll put up a email address, and you can send an email to us. Here's what's happening. One is they don't like the way people have been voting for the last almost 20 years, so they don't want to have to count that anymore. Your vote will count for nothing. Number two is they're not happy with what the statistics actually show. So they'd rather that you trust them because they're going to give you anecdotal information. Okay. Three,
Antidote,
they
yes.
they don't care. They don't care for here's that thing while I'm talking. They don't care for the charter, so they'd like you to ignore the charter. Four,
Right.
number four. So I mean, heck,
Yes, 4. Is it a number or a figment of your imagination?
I was going to make a joke on March 4th about it's the only day of the year
Oh,
that sounds like it's an order, but I never did that.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah, right. So they can't win on any of these things. Oh, wait, also, and people getting up and saying, and during the candidates debate, well, the answer to your logic is you stink. This is the best they can do.
Boy, I got a little bit of a chest cut. I need some antidotal information.
Oh, brother. All right, back to Simon here. Go ahead, Simon. Tell us where we're all wrong once again. It fit in really well with Dan DeYoung and the mayor who feel that voters are idiots. Thank you.
In any given election. Also, given that we have had an election question that this board may have referred, previous board, 74% of the electorate at that time said that the current level of service by the public safety.
Oh, come on.
Did not meet their needs.
All right, Mike, you already know
that is so stupid to even trot that out.
Again.
Yes, again, it's well, listen, you can ask anybody anything. Push polls are used quite frequently to get the answer that you want to get. But they didn't ask the people, do you want to pay more for the law enforcement services that you want? But we have taken better than a poll on that. The poll that we have taken requires people to fill out a ballot and put it in a secret envelope, sign their name to it, and send it off in the mail to the clerk. That's a certified, that is rock solid. That's not a poll where they call 400 people on the phone and ask them how they're going to vote. That's a real poll. And,
but wait,
that
Mike,
gives the
that
answer to that question.
Time in 1 year. Just one time in 1 year. Well, maybe two times in 2 years. So that's all that.
Or 3 times in 3 years.
Yes. Or maybe
10 times
since 2000. Yeah. Right.
Listen, that's just completely stupid, and it's really disingenuous to make that argument at all. I mean, it just shows how unserious you really are. And your argument is so bad that you have to pull up a flawed poll. Of course, everybody wants more. Do I want a 27-ounce Coca-Cola? Yes, I do. Do I want to pay $5.49 for it? No, I don't. I'll drink several of these. Thank you.
But you can quote
this is what it is.
Mike Jones all day long saying yes, 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 he wants it.
Yes, and that serves my purpose. So listen, in the future, when they ask stupid questions like that, understand what they're asking you and answer accordingly.
Would you like free money?
Yes. Well, when you know somebody that's handing out free money, yes. But there is no such thing as free money. Do you think that the money that the government hands out is free? We're popular tonight.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so back to Simon Hare.
Services level has not improved since then. And so I will take every measure to try to investigate a potential solution. A lot of people have made conjectures about what Chapter 753 does and does not do. And I will challenge you that there are a few that probably have reviewed it as thoroughly as I have. I just got out of a meeting earlier today with a state representative or legal counsel and reviewing exactly the intent of the legislature as I understood it when it was being adopted. I don't know that there were a lot of people following it at that time as thoroughly and as closely as I was, or our counselor, or legal counsel Wally Hicks. So, don't try to pretend that you can say something about Chapter 753 that, no, I know it backwards.
Oh, come on. Yes, I am superior. Nobody is as intelligent as I am. No one knows how to read better than I do. Yes. That's
You know
just
what?
what a
All that
condescending jerk
education
he
is
is.
not going to do him any good if he's
Yeah.
morally off course.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
people and what they think just doesn't matter because he knows better than everybody else. This is why this guy can't be educated. There's no manual to show him saying, look here, you're a public servant. Why are you talking to us this way? Well, you children haven't read it the way that I have, and nobody knows as much as I
Right.
do.
Yes.
You know, look, there's
Yeah.
the door.
Well, and listen, that's Simon Hare in a nutshell. That just tells you that was just sort of a a Freudian moment there where he's telling you what his little problem is, and that's what. And Simon has honed this skill very well, and he becomes very, very glib on a few topics, and he just fires it on out there for everybody's consumption. The problem is the guy doesn't have a decent solution for anything. He's just as moronic as those other two. They sit back there and the solutions that they end up coming up with are just they're nothing solutions, and nothing. This board has accomplished essentially nothing. In my view, there may be a few little teeny things that we haven't found it necessary to talk about on this show, but generally speaking, these guys are not doing very well.
It's not true of every board. We wouldn't say this about every board, but it is true in spades with this board.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Here's more from Simon Hare.
So I encourage people before they make statements to this board that you understand it as thoroughly as I do.
Oh, now don't talk to me. Don't talk to us until you understand it as thoroughly as I do. This kind of imperial attitude, brother, that really bothers me. I encourage you not to say anything to us until you know it as well as I do, and I'll be the sole judge of that.
Well, listen, I thought that there was a lot of people that got up and spoke on it their fears were valid. That what they said was generally valid. I didn't hear that many people that were, not knowledgeable about what they were talking about. We understand the concept. The concept is, and the concept's actually pretty simple, is that one of our commissioners sends a request to the governor to declare a state of fiscal emergency because we're having a problem funding public safety here. Everybody understands that. There's no debate about that. Then they work out some sort of intergovernmental agreement that we know the other two commissioners are going to glom right onto. Okay, so then they come up with something, and we understand all of that. I don't think there's any debate about all of that. But what we do know is going to happen, and that they would probably debate you and then tell you that we're not going to raise your taxes. We're not going to, we're not going to give over sovereignty to the state. There's not going to be some sort of now permanent situation with the state established where they're constantly looking in on our business. And the reality is that no local government is going to apply for matching funds from the government, from the state government, without first attempting to maximize the amount of that matching fund. Well, there's only one way that they can do that. And, correct me if I'm wrong. Here's the email address here, is apply this telecommunications tax on 911 services, which would apply to your landline and your cell phone, both. And, run that up to the hilt as far as much as you can do, and any other means of applying fees or taxation that they can get to bring their contribution up as much as possible so as to increase the contribution from the state. We know this is how these people are thinking. There's no other way. It doesn't happen any other way. Okay.
But Mike,
now,
there's going to be no strings attached. Why would the state have any strings attached?
Yeah.
Really, think about it.
Well, because it's their money. And listen, you know what? The first time Catherine Austin was in there and she brought this up, I thought, yeah, I don't know about that. But the more you think about it, the more you think, wow, that totally makes sense. And that is that when the state is giving us money, that's the perfect opportunity for them to revive HJR 21, which is the $2 bill. And they will be able to say, well, look, Josephine County down there is costing everybody in the entire state money. And everybody in the entire state, most of whom are already paying over $2 a thousand, are going to say, yeah, those guys are stealing money from us. How dare they? We're subsidizing them, and that's wrong. And then, when it gets put up for a vote statewide, they vote for it, and we end up with a permanent $2 per thousand, which and the guys downtown here would be chuckling big time. They'd be loving that.
And the reason the governor would come to this conclusion is that we've got 1, 2, or 3 commissioners who are begging for emergency funds. They're begging on our behalf. They're begging. Oh, yes. Well, they're asking us for it. Just like Dan DeYoung. Well, they've got their hands out, except these are the commissioners who've got their hands out. We're begging, begging, begging. Well, now, wait a minute. They begged us. And so
48%. Oh, Dale, come on. It's 48%. When are they going to get the services that they want? Dale, right. For crying out loud. That's almost half.
The other thing about this is, how many times have you heard the commissioners say, now, wait a minute, this is a bridge to nowhere. This is a temporary solution. Why? Your solution, Mr. Matthews, because you don't understand economic development, would only last 3 years, and that's not nearly enough. Why? That wouldn't get us anywhere, except this idea would last a maximum of 3 years. Suddenly, it's a brilliant idea when nothing else was.
Yes, that's so stupid.
Now, they're lying to us. They're trying to deceive us. And of course, the governor is going to come to that conclusion. That's why this next election, no matter who you pick, is so important. That's why the letter that I sent off on behalf of all the candidates is so important. If we can get past her blocking people who don't want the governor to see things, and that is all of the candidates, with 2 exceptions, said, we don't want this. We'll solve our own problems. Thank you very much. These guys, these characters, right. and SOS as embodied by the guy that's in charge of it, which is also the finance director for the city, which also includes the city, they don't want any more votes. They can't win a vote. They know they can't win a vote. They're not going to win the next vote and the next vote and the next vote, so they don't want to have any more votes. Right. That's their America. That's what you're voting on. That's why you need to talk with your neighbors. That's what's at stake here. Steak here. Now I'm feeling hungry. Simon?
Steak, yeah.
If you want to have a discussion about it offline, I'm happy to do so.
Offline.
Allocating economic development dollars is not statutorily provided under the economic development. I think Commissioner Walker may say something to this effect, but I just wanted to say that if she doesn't remember, it's the parks, fairgrounds, airports, and planning are statutorily provided for departments under the legislation. Back to the county. That is where we're technically by law bound.
No, what?
Yeah, technically by law bound? No, yeah, technically. No, this is misleading because they do mention there are a number of ORS rules, laws that apply, statutes that apply to HB 3188, I believe it is, that
wow.
is
all right, Mike,
and Amendment 15.
Wow, cool.
I'm trying to. There's a
to know.
Well, no, there's a constitutional.
When Simon says.
Yes, right, exactly. There's a constitutional amendment that provides for the lottery being, okay, and in all of these, if you look into all of the laws that are, little subordinate laws that are mentioned in HB 3188 and subordinate ordinances, you see that they do mention parks and airports and stuff like that, but it's not exclusionary. It's not one of these things where you have that's the only thing that it can go to. There is one thing where they say, oh yes, you can do it for this, but they mention economic development a lot, and whatever's good for your economic development. And you know what? I'll have some specificity and stuff that we can put on screen here shortly that talks about that. But this is highly subjective. They are
even said so.
Making it. Yeah, he's making it right. Exactly. I mean, you just said that, but it's a very subjective interpretation of this law. And the bottom line is that they don't want to give any economic development money to the sheriff. They do not want to give any money to the sheriff, period, end of story, unless it first comes out of your pocket in the form of a tax or a fee or something like that. That's the only way that they're interested in it. Only new money. You don't take money from, the economic development money is their slush fund. I mean, everybody saw the video. We were playing this back in early December, that they were going to take economic development money and write stories about the commissioners and how great they are. Now, listen, that's not parks. That's not airports. That's not, whatever else he mentioned there. It's not that. And yet somehow it's economic development. And
it was his idea.
To spend the money. Yeah,
it was
right.
Simon's idea.
So this is it's a highly arbitrary thing, and clearly, as Cheryl stated, there's a lot of free reign here for us to do what we want to do with economic development money. And Simon, that's exactly right. So we know this to be the case, and but you're never ever going to get out of this board what you may be able to get out of a board here in the near future. In the near future, we may have a board that's completely on board with spending economic development money on the sheriff. We may have a board that will take extra road dollars and spend that on the sheriff. And prudently, there's nothing. Listen. It's the inclination of this board that is the issue here. And the fact that they want very badly, all of these people want very badly. And there's a core element of even some of the people that are going to be running for commissioner that they know. It's like the 11th commandment in the Republican Party. Ronald Reagan said, "Thou shalt not speak ill of another Republican." Well, these guys understand that there's this line that you never ever cross, and that is you never take money that out of the general fund or out of the timber dollars or road dollars or economic development money and give that to the sheriff. That you never do without a tax increase. And this is a commandment that they all follow, and there must be some reason for that. It's because they want, some sort of a permanent, substantial increase in the amount of money that's coming into government. And how much do we believe that they are all ready to make logical, decent, moral, measured, and prudent decisions with that money?
Based on the record?
Thinks that?
Right.
Yeah, who thinks that?
Here's what's happened to us in this county. The city voters used to always vote for every tax that came up. And then the city council came up with this stupid idea to try to make us the only city, Grants Pass, the only city in the whole state that charges a sales tax. And that drove that core support that they had over into with the county people who've always been saying, no, this is not a good idea. They lost those people. They lost them. So we're learning this show, just playing back their videos and talking about them and analyzing it is helping drive an increasing number of people toward the idea of, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense for the city council and for the county commissioners. It doesn't make any sense. That's hurting them. This idea of jumping all over citizens and then saying, oh, we're trying to keep it civil, that's driving a lot of people over there. They're on my campaign. They're on the campaign of every reformer that's out there. They're working for us on a full-time basis. And so, okay, please keep telling us, Simon, that we don't understand everything and only you do. Cheryl Walker, tell us, well, the majority of the people doesn't matter after she won by just 62 votes. Go ahead, and Keith, and say, well, I think you ought to be civil when he's anything but. Just keep doing that, because look at what the result's been. Simon's not going to run for re-election. He's going to be marginalized by these next two people if they are the right people and not go along to get along. Anybody that's on that borderline, please cross them off your list. They're just going to give in. Of course they're going to give in. The whole courthouse is set up in a way so that everybody gives in, because it's easy. Look at what happened to daggone old Wally Hicks. That guy has completely given in. What a disappointment. So if reformers, because that's what he looked like at the beginning, he's definitely not that now. He's pushing full-time on the other side. That's where they're getting some of this stuff. Well, this is legal, that's legal, don't worry about this, ignore that. No, he's not working for us. So if you're going to have any kind of change, if you don't want change to the system, you got a dozen people to choose from which to choose. So it's exactly the right time for this. That's why I'm so excited. It's exactly the right time. And we're doing our part to keep you informed. And that's why people are jumping all over us and yelling, you stink, and kicking and flailing and saying you're not journalists and you don't know what you're doing and you're biased and you're the liberal media and anything they can think of. When that lion is charging at you at full speed, they're picking up pieces of grass and dust and throwing it in the air, hoping that's going to do something. That's not going to stop this. The only thing that can stop this is, sorry to say it to you this way, you not talking with your neighbor. Mike?
Yep. I agree. So, you know, I mean, this is sort of a grassroots thing, and I hope that everybody else feels that this political season is different on a number of levels, because, you know, regardless whether or not the candidate that you believe in is the one, you believe that there's something that exists in that candidate that is different than what we've been being spoon fed for the last 4 to 8 years or whatever. So, you know, you're going to have to get out and proselytize here and, you know, make this thing happen. I would like to think very much that the commissioners had our best interests in mind, instead of, you know, thinking what was best for them in their own little world. And, you know, more freedom, less government hindrance, smaller government, lesser, you know, burden to the people.
Respect, and, respect for votes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that builds prosperity and trust. And so let's see some of that, you know, and, ask your friends and neighbors and family to help us get there, whatever you think that is.